Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Kevin Brancato. As you know, I run product here. And I want to show you some really awesome things I've been working on. My boss challenged me. He said, agentic AI, how are you going to use it? How can our clients use it? So he sent me off on a mission. I think it was one of the most fun things I've done in a very long time. He sent me off to work directly with our engineering team to figure out how agentic AI can really help contracts. And what I found after I went into it was that there are 1,000 different things we could have AI agents do. And what I wanted to share was a representative sample. We built 4, and we built 4 that we're able to deploy to our Salesforce customers today. We're going to port them into our own platform when we get a chance, where we're able to actually deliver them. We want people to use them inside of Salesforce so we can learn from them. But smarter contracts, we have figured out so many different use cases, and we're going to show you 4 that really we think work very well. So the agenda for today is using agents to extract, summarize, assess, having a human being save a lot of time, having machine do things. We're going to talk about ingesting electronic contracts, not using Transform Copilot, where a bunch of the data is all over the place. But if you know exactly what it is and it's structured, so you get a purchase order from a large defense prime, and it's consistently the same way, well, you don't even have to look at it, because it's simple, it's straightforward. You don't even have to review it. Can I just create the contract record in the system? We found a way to do that very easily. Next, smart creation of deliverables from CDRLs. So the idea is you get a CDRL, you ingest it, and we already have the ability to ingest the CDRL, and our clients said, well, what's next? Can I track every single deliverable I need to make from the CDRL? And it turns out it's very easy to do that. We didn't have to build a whole process. The agent built it for us. Next is a better way to review and approve, and it's a much larger aspect, something I discussed a little bit earlier, and then one-click executive summaries, and finally Q&A. So this is going to be me talking about the value of agents, describing each agent, and then demoing every single agent. Because I think without the demo, as we just found out in the previous session with Mila, you don't see it, you don't believe it, so let's go run through it so you can see these things. Again, we constantly go back to this slide. We focus on pre-award. We focus on award. We focus on post-award risk and compliance management. Some of the agents you're going to see here, you're going to go, whoa, you can use them in various places. Yeah, it's complicated. That's just how it is. But what can AI agents do? This is my assessment. A lot of people would have this a little bit different. I think agents can extract data and text. They extract. So you go into a document, you go into some other space, you extract information you care about. You summarize across this information. And then sometimes the summary is not just saying what is, but what it could be. And so it's really a different thing. It's an assessment based on the text, data, and summary. When you saw the risk question that we answered, it's the AI making a summary, but it's making a very particular type of summary. And so I think it's a little bit different when it makes an assessment. And you can actually have it think through and have more complex logic. So after that, it does all these things. The agent can take an action in the system. And the action could be anything a human person can do in the system, including clicking a button or sending an email or approving. An action could be anything code can do in the system, including call an API to integrate with other systems, and calling other agents. So now that we have that context about what I think an agent is and what it can do, what are our principles? Like, when I set out to do this, what do I want to do? So an agent has to act in a predictable way. If you're going to ask it to do something, it has to be able to do something reliably, consistently, maybe not perfectly every single time. It's AI. It's not going to happen perfectly. Christy from CDM Smith was here. She says, your Transform Copilot is not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. AI is never going to be perfect. Right there you are, right there. It's never going to be perfect. They can be understood that they're not black boxes. So if I showed you the logic and prompts I used, you go, oh, I know why it's acting this way. They can act independently, but have their decisions overridden. That's one of the things I want to be able to do. They're not making a final decision. They could write data into a system, but you have to be able to change it. And so that makes them reliable teammates in your system. And so why use the agents we've created? It saves you a substantial amount of time. It really, again, focuses you on higher value opportunities, and then focuses on the results, not just this process. So let's go down to the first one, ingesting electronic contracts. These are really delivery orders, but it turns out this agent, even though we designed it for a delivery order, it worked on anything we put it into. We were actually very surprised. Example, your company receives a subcontract or delivery order from a much larger company for goods or services. First, the documents, the IDIQ comes in like a master agreement with all the stuff, right? And so you get an MSA, an IDIQ in this paper format. And then if that's the case, which our clients get, you can use Transform Copilot on that. That's easy. You can ingest that. We already just discussed that. But in the KISS case, the delivery orders came in the form of an Excel spreadsheet. What are you going to do with that? Transform Copilot doesn't like this Excel spreadsheet. You could print it to PDF for Transform Copilot, but it's not designed for this purpose. And every single one of those Excel spreadsheets looks the same anyway. So I worked with our team, and you created an ingest agent. So it could actually just go through those documents once uploaded and knows exactly what to create, and not just the contract record in our system, the POP, the CLIN, but also all the deliverables, because it knew them. And so how does it work? The user uploads the delivery order. The agent processes the order, creates the contract POP CLIN. They're automatically dated based on information in the contract. Hey, the CDRL says you got to, or the order says, hey, you got to deliver these things on this point and at this time, and it does that. The delivery order is tied back to the IDIQ, which is listed there. And so because you've tied it back in our system and the IDIQ has all the clauses, it pushed them down too. So you don't need to use a hammer on every single one of the contracts. You can use a lighter tool on some of them and make it a lot easier. So let's see it. I'll pull this thing over, and yeah, it will. Here we go. Oh, that's great. That's kind of blinding. Let's zoom in a little bit. And so we created another button here. It's easy for demo purposes. We can move it around. Electronic contracts. So I click, and this is using Salesforce Agentforce. And so we use this, but obviously we're going to put this into our own platform. And we required, for purposes of today, that the Excel spreadsheet just basically be printed to a PDF. We could handle the Excel. We just didn't see any reason for the demo here. And then the user will actually upload. Let's see. So if I go to it's Elevate, Contracts Agents, and there's this contract. It's going to upload. Done. All right. So now it's uploaded, and I'm going to press this, and you're going to see it in real time, because I like doing things in real time. I like demos. It says 30 to 60 seconds. It's one of the preferences I have. So some of you were here in the previous demo. I got a question like, well, some of the stuff was a little bit off in our marking a little bit earlier. We show warts and all because things ought to be real, and they are real. These things work. So this is processing the document, and it's going through, and it's actually creating all the records that it needs to create them, much like a user would. Because in our system, a user has to first create the contract, then they have to create the periods of performance, then they have to create the CLINs, and then if they're going to create deliverables, they have to tie those back, if they want to, tie them back to the CLINs. And this happens automatically in that amount of time. Success. So I go down. It says, hi, extracted, fields populated, ready to review, view the contract. OK, so it created a contract record. There's 50,000 in stuff. And it's a bare bones, because the spreadsheet's bare bones, but I have a contract record in the system. And it has periods of performance. It has a base period, has an option period 1. It has 2 appropriate CLINs. It put them in. And we actually added these additional pieces of information just to see how complex it could get. It could get very complex. In fact, this agent would even work if I put an SF33 in it. It just does a bunch of funny things because it's not really designed for that. Transform Copilot is designed for things that are much more complex. This is, it doesn't have all the information that Transform Copilot wants. So I've gotten the POP, I got the CLINs, and if I go into, I actually have to refresh. It takes some time to get there. OK, well, this one did not create the deliverables, but it's going to create the electronic contract from it, so it created the appropriate information right from one individual contract. If I were to go back to our contracts, and the deliverables are supposed to be created in this way, where it basically says for every single deliverable, it's tied back, and it has the contractual delivery date on it, and finds the appropriate information contractual delivery date tied back to the contract. And then this way you could easily see and then start tracking in the system which of the, inside your system to track deliverables, which a number of our clients are hesitant to do because of the amount of data entry that's involved. Rather than just go to the next agent, I'd rather just answer questions about this one before we go on to the next one if there are any questions about this. I'm sorry, couldn't see you. No problem. This one does not. We did not design the labor categories to be able to do this yet, but I think that's where I wanted to highlight. So the question was, does this agent ingest the labor categories? This is meant to be representative of the capabilities that we can have very quickly. This took us a week. 1 week. That's it. And we're done. So it works. So to be able to say, well, let me get a version that can also handle labor categories, it'll also handle the rest, if they are structured in the same exact way in every contract that you get or every order that you get, this would work. This is really representative for much more structured type information. Again, it came in an Excel spreadsheet. It didn't come in a wild PDF where the labor category table goes across 27 pages, but if you're, or it's a table you've never seen before. So this agent is, again, designed for a very particular purpose that is a very useful purpose that a lot of our clients have. The company that issued this delivery order is Lockheed Martin. So a lot of companies have this problem. Yeah. Can you set the notifications from the deliverables? Yes. They can actually be set automatically if you know who would be appropriately assigned to those sorts of things. If you had a person in a delegation of authority matrix or some of the area, yes, it could be automatically assigned. Or it could, the agent could be assigned to hunt down the right person who's generally been assigned to this in the past. Yeah. Via notification, via email. Again, it's inside the system. It can do that. So Transform Copilot's going to go in and ask very sophisticated questions. You have to know what the structure of this data is going to be, right? It has to be very specific. If it were random, you get a contract and you get the next contract that's very different, this does not perform well. It doesn't know how to perform well. This is we had a previous version of our product called Intelligent Contract Ingestion that was solely form-based. If I knew where something was, I could always get it. Always get it. But we found that that's not the use case for most of our clients. Most of our clients, as soon as you get to the second page, stuff is all over the place. And this doesn't really work.
Some of our big IDIQs, where we know the task orders, we know the forms are coming, we would potentially use this versus going through the Transform Copilot process because we know, like, export.
If this is designed for something that comes in through Excel, where the Excel format is the same, if you get a PDF, stuff is going to be all over the place. So, all right. I'll move on to the next one. They get more interesting as we go along. Let's go to the next one. All right, so that's the ingest agent demo. Now let's just go to, I think, the smart creation of deliverables from CDRLs. So we already have, as part of our Transform Copilot capability, the ability to ingest a CDRL form and create CDRLs in the system that you can track. But if your company wins contracts with one more CDRLs or want to track the deliverables to fulfill them to measure performance, there's no easy way right now in our system to automatically do this. We wanted a simple way just to push a button or not even push the button. It just happens. So you now can use the CDRL to deliverable agent to automatically create the deliverables from the CDRL. So how does it work? The user uploads the CDRL, and the previous version, up until yesterday, the user has to tell the agent to initiate the deliverable creation. As I was talking to the engineer doing this, he goes, why does the user have to do anything? Why don't I just create them? Because what else are they going to do? They want it. So don't even force the user to do anything. The agent scans all the CDRLs and creates as many deliverables as needed to meet the set schedule. They're tied to the CDRLs to appropriate CLINs and appropriate POPs on the contract. Requirements and other information is pushed. And then one deliverable is created per delivery or per submission, right, basically. And that submission to deliverable is tracked differently a little bit on Salesforce and Microsoft. This version would work on Salesforce. We'd have to change it a bit to work on Microsoft. Let me show you what that actually is, though. Okay, so I have lots of agents here. Let me close this one up. Yeah, I actually did this a little bit earlier just to test it out to make sure as we were going. It is actually already had this work successfully, but actually let me upload one. So I'm going to upload a CDRL. I'll show you that document as it's being processed. So where are we? Yeah, let's upload from documents. Oh, here we are. A demo, and I have a CDRL document. Yeah, that's a standard CDRL document, so let me show that to you, and I upload. So I'm using our Transform Copilot to upload the CDRL document, and after that, the agent brings it back. It creates the CDRL form. It goes and looks in these things. We realize we could just try to upload the form, but we already did that work. We already had that process in place, right? The CDRL already works. Clients are already using this thing. It's already ready to go. I don't have to train the agent to do something I've already trained Transform Copilot to do. So basically, while that's happening, the user generally will receive an email from this process. This is the end version of that process. When I refresh this page, it will, if it's ready, it will let me know that the CDRL is ready. Just give it a second. We'll look at one that's already there as it's being processed. So I already did this a little bit earlier. So the idea is you could see on a given CDRL, you'd be able to actually then check every single, that's the line items that are on the CDRL, and then all the individual deliverables. So it basically says you need to create and submit a monthly report from this time period that starts until it ends. I can see all of the, and so every contractual deliverable date that is required, much for easier tracking in this purpose. Very straightforward, very simple, and it just works without a user doing anything. It automatically happens. So let me head back to the contract. By this time, it should have automatically processed. I'll hit refresh. It's the problem with doing live demos is that you do have to wait for the AI to actually function. Here it is. It's actually creating the deliverables right from this. And it says the AI assistant is analyzing the CDRL requirements and generating the deliverables automatically. So it does that when you upload them. Takes the line items, make sure you have them, creates the deliverables right from them. So making a seamless experience. So what we found before, when we had to use Transform Copilot and we had to build things manually, we built this before agentic AI came available, before we had very easy tools to create all these sorts of things. Once again, this took at most a couple of weeks to build. Very easy, very straightforward. So our ability to automate your processes once we've identified them has greatly accelerated. Before, it took much, much longer to be able to do any of these things. And now it's very straightforward. So again, this will create the deliverables, and after it has gone and analyzed the whole thing, it will create exactly the view that I showed you. So there it is. The deliverables were created successfully. And it says there were 0 yearly, 0 quarterly, 31 monthly, 0 weekly, and 4 single deliverables that needed to be created. It added them to the record, and now you're able to track the deliverables from the CDRLs. Any questions about this? Very straightforward. Again, sometimes it's underwhelming because it just works. All right, then let's go to the next one. All right. A better way to review and approve. So, business problem. Review and approval processes are slow and manual, but your companies all stay compliant through detailed approval tracking. And today, users are assigned to receive these notifications or emails. Could be in Teams, as mentioned earlier. Could be emails. And then they have to look at this. They go back into the record. They go into SharePoint. They hunt for the information. And then they have to go to the object or respond in the email at a very high level to mark their decisions. But some decisions are made without complete review of the data because the data that's sent to them is incomplete. Maybe a lot of you all don't want to send complete data through email notifications, and so you want an AI type assessment or some other assessment. So not everyone at the company also potentially can participate in this. If you can't get access to the record because you don't have a license, then how are you going to review something in total? You got to actually look at the document. It's very time consuming. So we set up what we call the review and approval agent to automate and accelerate reviews of the contract subcontract, proposal, OCI, or any other place where there's a review. We put this on the proposal right now just to be able to show it to you easily. And how does it work? Basically, you could, if you had the delegation of authority matrix set up, you could just basically click. It would go find the right people, add them to review and approve. The existing process you have is followed, but we substitute. Instead of standard emails that just are form letters, basically saying here's the information, the agent sends out the email, and that contains an AI assessment of the summary, and if it's an approval, a recommendation about whether you should approve and why. The approver can respond to the email, not yes, not no, but in free text, and then the agent picks that email and then marks the record closed. Yes, you've reviewed, yes, you approve, no, you don't, and actually summarizing the replies context. And the agent also emails the process owner to make sure that this is great, because somebody could respond, you've got the wrong person, right? And the agent then actually notifies the record owner, you got to send it to somebody else for review. And this agent works identically for users and non-users of the system. So let's see this in real time. Okay, so if I go to executive sum, there we go. Okay, so I'm on a proposal, and I need to send this proposal for review. I could have created this using Transform Copilot. In fact, I did. I created this earlier using Transform Copilot for pre-award, and it created this. And then all I did is I didn't have the delegation of authority set up here. I actually have these proposal team members. I have it sent to me, so I'm both the reviewer and the approver, so you could see the emails that I get. So I need to send this to review, so I'm going to submit this for review. First thing that happens, right, it is going to look across the document. It's going to say, actually, before you send this for review, you really ought to look at what you're sending first. The probability of you getting positive feedback is low because you're missing commercial fields and cost breakdowns. The review readiness tips, it's like, can you provide a one-paragraph summary so somebody can actually understand what's going on, so I, the agent, can understand what's going on? And also the action plan, what you need to do to make this compliant so somebody is likely to say yes to your review. And so I will continue to submit. So yes, I ignored the AI's advice. I sent this out because I want to send it, so I sent this. So it's sent and ready to proceed. So what's going to happen is it's going to send here, so it's submitted for review. Give it a few moments. It is using AI to summarize and send me the email, and we'll go into my email in a second and you'll see it. So it uses, as I mentioned earlier, uses the standard approval processes. So if I go into this related object, I got the people, and it will actually have the whole history. It's gone from draft to submitted for review, and so it's going to track everything as necessary here. I will go, well, given that this is my personal email, give me 1 second, I'll pull over the result. Here, so proposal review request, here it goes. And you'll see that at 3:39 p.m., what does the reviewer get? Hi, Kevin B. Assess this. Here's the record summary, and it has some basic information. Here's the proposal. TINA exemption is none. CAS status is unknown. Contract type unknown. I didn't fill in a lot of the data. What to look for complete pricing, acquisition details, compliance schedule, and then it highlights risk areas for you while you're looking for the review. So compliance uncertainty. And so you can go back and view the record and find this information. And so let's respond. Let's respond. And let's say, this looks good. But please notify Lori that she needs to look at this. Right? So just send it in free text. Great. So that's replied. And it's already tagged and ready to know that it could be submitted for approval. So let's go and find I'll have to refresh this. It's not designed to be instant. If I go to the adjudications tab, what I'm going to see, hopefully, is, yeah, looks good. Please notify Lori to review. It's condensed and summarized the text that I put in because AI is making an assessment of my response. It says, no, there is no conflict, meaning you can move forward here. So that's pretty straightforward. It actually helped this process. If I continue and I submit for approval, it's going to do the same sort of thing. And so, hey, continually low probability, confirm the alignment of the solicitation number with the scope. You should populate the rest of these fields. They're not likely to review, not likely to approve. So let me continue to submit there as well. And once again, it's going to send the user an email. Again, why do I want to send an email? Because it could be somebody who doesn't have access to the system. It could be anybody. It could be a lawyer who doesn't have access to this system, and they're asking them to review it. That's really the use case. So somebody's got really wants a better interpretation of a review and approval, or somebody who's not in the system and needs to be able to access this information. So let me hit refresh on this side. And I want to show you that email because it's slightly different than the email that is sent to the reviewer. So here it's a little bit different. OK. All right, 3:43 p.m. And yeah, here's assess the proposal for completeness and compliance and basic information. The team, the reviewer. What did the reviewer say? The reviewer said, looks good, notify lawyer to review. Again, that came from the previous reviewer. Key items to the reviewer is to verify completeness, a bunch of risk areas, and also recommendations. Because, hey, don't approve, route back for completion, contract and compliance fields, and confirm lawyer's review per workflow. We think this is a much better way to manage review and approval. Again, it's not forcing you to make a decision. It's highlighting information. It's highlighting gaps. It's saying what you really should or should not do based on those gaps. It's not making an expert judgment. It's basically judging it on the completeness of the record. So I can do that right here. In fact, I will maybe make it unsatisfactory. I'm going to reply, and that reply, let me call this out and you can see it. Let me call this out, call it this reply and go, sorry, you got the wrong Kevin. All right, we can close this down. See that? All right, so what's going to happen here is that the agent is going to come again and pick this thing up. Just give it a second. It should process. It may take a while because it's a very unique thing that I wrote back to it. Hopefully it knows. So just give it a second. It's processing. When I wrote, sorry, you got the wrong Kevin, now it has to figure out what to send to the other person because it's not understanding what's going on. It's possible that I also messed up when I sent the submit for approval and I didn't hit the right button. So we may have to do this again just to see it. But give it a second. It has not come through yet. And we'll know. This is again what happens when you decide you want to show something live. It sometimes does not meet all your wishes and criteria. But I really much prefer to show things live. In fact, actually, what I want to show is what happens if I do change something here. So let's submit for approval. Core fields are blank. Contract type, total, let's add in contract type and customer, right? And let's just add in some more fields and see if this changes appropriately. You would expect it to, right? So if I put a proposal title and I'm going to put this, say drone swarm, IDIQ, who's the customer, I don't think Medicare is going to offer a drone swarm. Contract action, it's a new contract. Let's just fill stuff in, right? And it's going to be, say, for a statement of work, description, drone swarm technology, right? Very, very basic. It's not enough. And a validity date, which would be very important to actually have a compliant proposal. And so I'll click save. It must be after the due date. That would be smart. So yes, we do have a bunch of normal human logic in here. Let me submit for approval. Again, it's sending the information to the AI. Come on. Total proposed cost key breakdown. The title is no longer mentioned. Other information that is mentioned blank is now mentioned because we filled in the information, but there was so much missing that basically had no hope. So I'm going to continue to submit. Now it's actually recognized that I sent it. Before I didn't do it right, and so the AI did not recognize that I had sent it. But I think you've got the point. This is a very straightforward process. Okay, now it's submitted for approval. It knows I did receive it this time, and we'll reply in the snarky manner again. Let's do that. Reply all. This isn't the Kevin you are looking for. Okay, and we'll reply that way. So now it's going to interpret that email, and it doesn't even have to be, as people are very curt nowadays, especially if you're using instant messages. Emails are no longer very formal. People are just very direct with lots of things. So let's see what happens in the adjudication. Let me refresh this page. I still have not received the email saying there's confusion going on. Yeah, it's not. It's unfortunately not working at this time. I wanted to show that it would be able to interpret this in a different way. It worked earlier today, but it's not working now. So we'll move on to the next one unless there are questions about this process. Yes, ma'am.
So when it doesn't catch things like that, how do we see that in like an error log, or how do we manage that?
They just didn't. This has never happened before, so I'm very embarrassed.
How would I be able to flag like, hey, this wasn't caught by AI, I want to debug that part if it's just out there?
We're going to have a generic error log. We don't have here, and we didn't show, is that we've built an entire dashboard of setup for agents, because it's just, the admin for agents is not really part of this panel. We actually have an admin panel for all the agents, including usage, users, and the like, so you can see what's going on. We didn't set up the error logs yet. That's a very good point. All right, one final agent. Okay, one-click executive summaries. So a lot of our clients have dashboards, and dashboards run across their entire contract system, but they're actually very difficult to interpret. They don't offer a lot of the context that people would want. And so we wanted to show just a very simple, straightforward approach of searching across the entire contracts, which a dashboard can do, but in a much more humane way, basically. There's a large amount of activity that happens weekly, and even for a small contracts team, and keeping track of that could be annoying. So maybe you want to track limitation of funds notices that weren't sent, along with outstanding reviews, along with excessive time and closeout for a contract or subcontract. Yeah, you could do all that in a dashboard, but in one place, on a regular basis, emailed to you. Yeah, that's what this can do. It can put all this information together and get you a quick summary of the latest actions and highest risks. And we actually included opportunities in here just because we could. So a user goes to a contract's homepage, clicks generate the summary, the agent scours the records. Instead of the standard dashboards, we provide that list of records. And it provides a very basic list of actions and concerns and suggests to whom somebody should reach out and why. And the user can then email the report for later distribution. I will say that we didn't go into complete and exhaustive detail here because we actually want a lot more feedback before delivering this one. So we'll show it. That is a very interesting review. So if I go into exec sum, I actually have one sitting here ready to go. We'll see what happens. So right on the home page, we have AI-generated weekly executive summary. And by weekly, we mean it's going to look across the previous week's worth of actions that were taken until somebody hit that button. Now, that could be automated, right? We could set this up on a regular basis, but for a demo purpose, it was a lot easier for me if I just hit the button, because otherwise, how would you know that something happened? So you want to be able to see this weekly executive summary. This demo has a lot of records in it. It could take quite some time to go around this. And once it's generating, you'll see the list. And it is broken out about the most recent actions that were taken that somebody should be paying attention to. Here's that summary. Right, so it has a metric summary. I'll make this a little bit bigger. All right, so new contracts that were created in the past week. We've been busy. Contracts that are modified, 17, 15 with amount changes, 2 with date changes. Actually, never seen that before. It's AI, and we didn't force that to structure it that way because it found this. 6 contracts are closed out. 2 opportunities were advanced, right? So you want to keeps tracking what's going on pre-award. You can, on the growth side, you can do that too. Agreements were executed and proposals submitted. So it's a good metric, an understanding from metrics of what's happened over the past week. Nobody really has a dashboard that summarizes that information together. What are potential risks and action items? So here are new contracts that are pending initial review and approval. Somebody's put them into the system, but actually didn't follow through. So this is something you really want to monitor. Sure, you could put that into a dashboard, but the idea is, tell the contract administrators to go find them, and you could actually get the link to the original records here as well. Same thing with open contract mods that are pending final approval. So again, you've got open contracts, draft contracts, you've got open mods. They still haven't gone through the final view, and so these are being sent out, and you should really go email the final. Find out the contracts lead needs to be able to finish them. You really need to approve this. And then limitation of funds requests? No, nothing's pending approval at this time. Good news. So you're able to track when nothing happens. Generally, that would be blank, so it's actually it's scoured the data. Adverse action flags. So on this contract, there's a formal response. It's supposed to happen by November 12th. So on a dashboard, it would never say that, right? You wouldn't know exactly what was supposed to happen in detail. Program manager is supposed to coordinate with the contracting officer by November 10. So the contract's approaching the end of their performance, right? So pretty straightforward assessment there. And finally, the ever lovely problem that everybody has, stalled closeouts. So you're able to track which closeouts are just basically not happening. So I picked an arbitrary day, an arbitrary time, 120 days, just so we'd have something easy to see here. And this one is stalled. So it's a simple, very simple set of reports. Again, this also was produced in a very short amount of time where we're able to generate this sort of thing. And our goal going forward is that we will provide technology that you all can modify the ones that we've written, or you can create the ones that you want yourselves that are custom to your environment. So we generate the report. This report can easily be emailed, but maybe it doesn't contain everything you'd want, and you can come back and sort of change that sort of thing later to adapt to your specific organization's requirements. Any questions about this one? Yeah.
Would that be like do one for by BU? I can define who it's going to and what records it would cover. What do you mean by
exactly?
And
so
we would, as sysadmins, control that.
What we don't want is people to be afraid of AI. I'm certainly not afraid of AI anymore. I think I spent a very long time trying to understand how to use it. When I first saw ChatGPT and it was just this bar, I'm like, so what? Well, it was so what in many ways, because it could do some really interesting things, fun things. I can make Santa flying next to a reindeer, photographs, all sorts of crazy, stupid things, right? But this is inside your system, and your question is, how could you tailor this as an admin to the system or somebody who does not have coding experience? I am not a coder. The stuff you're going to see later on today for the future vision, I created using the AI tools. These sorts of things, I worked with an engineer to create them, but I've created very similar things myself. I haven't coded in 20 years. I long ago stopped being able to do these things, but we expect people to be able to do that now. The tools are now available, no-code type tools, where people can create such things, and we think our clients should be adopting them, to be honest with you. So, any other questions about this? Or anything else that I've shown so far? Yeah, please.
Thank you. How far away is the ability to click on one of these things and have it take you to the record that changed?
Yeah, so let's just do this one, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's right there, very straightforward. It knows what it is. If I go back, the executive summary will disappear because I didn't want it to persist.
Is there a thought there to change
it's there.
that metrics at the beginning? Because I think that was kind of what I thought she was asking was, would you be able to click to see which one had the date change or the money change or whatever?
I just didn't want to show everything. It's like somebody has to, when you're developing a product, you have to make choices about what is truly valuable. And it's, again, I don't think I can make that choices for you all. This is the sort of thing I think every single customer that comes to us configures dashboards differently. They build their own. That's why we have generic sets of dashboards that everyone reconfigures. You would reconfigure this, and I'd expect you to. Thank you.
So you're frying my brain a little bit, because yesterday I was totally set on creating dashboards to do all of this, but this is
You are
this
going to
is
be in Microsoft
way-
very soon, and I built this in Salesforce, and I couldn't show it to you.
I know, but
Because-
this is way cool, and we already do this very manually via email and copy and pasting tables into emails,
Yeah.
and this
Ugh.
is amazing.
Yeah, so we're going to build this in our platform and
Okay.
make it available to everyone so we can actually have one thing that works. And we're not going to build a LLM ourselves, right? We're going to use open source tool. We're not going to build a workflow builder ourselves. We'll have an open source tool that we'll be able to pull in and have people use. What we built is a platform that you trust your data to and make these tools available to you. You couldn't do this in the publicly available information.
The quick question back on the approval processes and doing attachments, is that just something that you define within the prompt builder? Like at the current approval processes, we can do attachments in the email templates and things like that. Is that pretty straightforward and easy to do in Agentforce as well?
It wasn't done, those approvals have existed in our product for a very long time, and we leveraged the existing ones that were already there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are changeable by inside of Microsoft Dynamics or inside of Salesforce today. We eventually will build our own review and approval processes in our platform. It's not a priority right now. There are bigger fish to fry right before we get there. But yes, that is the eventual goal, where we'd actually enable the customization of those processes completely. All those emails, the standard emails, are templates. The review and approval processes are embedded in Salesforce or embedded in Microsoft.
Okay. Does that answer the question? Okay.
All right. I don't think I have any more slides. We'll just make sure. Yeah, questions. That's it. So you already got the questions. All right. Thank you, everyone. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad for the engagement. Thank you so much.